So now, dear friends, colleagues, a slight change of gear, but nevertheless, a very interesting experience. Otto is gonna talk about an evaluation of co-creating digital policies by civil society in Switzerland. So perhaps sort of digital policies that we may also need in the future, guiding the use of stuff like ChatGPT and other AI tools. This is a different example in looking at the topic of digitalization from a very different angle, but I think some very important angle for us as evaluators. So let me quickly introduce at least Otto, who's part of a team who conducted this evaluation. He's a senior researcher at the Center of Philanthropy Studies at the University of Basel, which is in Switzerland, has more than 15 years of experience in evaluation concerning mainly regional and economic development, labor, social affairs, civil society, and he's participated in lots of international evaluation projects. And has experience from several professional associations. As you know, he's a member of the EES board, leader of and founder actually of the EU policies thematic working group of the EES, but also has been actively working on the board of directors of the Czech Evaluation Society between 2012 and 2015. So with no further ado, Steve, the floor is yours to present the joint work together with your colleagues Dominic Meyer and Regular Wolf. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. So I will discuss or present digitalization and evaluation from a slightly different perspective, and actually one question or comment discussion from the previous presentation about participation, empowerment. So it relates to my presentation, and as I now work at the Center for Philanthropy Studies at the University of Basel, so we cope with philanthropy, civil society, non-profit organizations, and we did evaluation of participative processes and participation of digital civil society in Switzerland. So it's more not about using some digital tools to collect data or evaluate them, but it's about creating the framework, creating the rules. Because when I saw that sometimes that for evaluators, even some statistical methods are difficult to follow, but important is to create the framework in which we then conduct the evaluations. There was a huge discussion about using counterfactual impact evaluations 10 years ago in European Commission. And that there was a huge discussion whether we should use quantitative or qualitative methods, but that there was at some point missing the discussion about the framework. So both approaches are needed because each of them answers different type of evaluation questions. So then that's the reason why I'm going to present how the civil society or the stakeholders can influence digital policy on the case of Switzerland. Then you know that in digitalization we hear it about it everywhere, and we use the case of civil society in Switzerland, as it is quite independent. It's not connected to government funding as in comparison to other countries in Europe. So it's politically independent from this point of view. And digitalization is current topic changing the world after the pandemic. So then things started moving ahead. And we studied how civil society can influence creation of policies and the framework. So and we work with the framework that to be successful, you need some capability to do that. You have to have know-how and skills to know how to do that, and to be willing to work on it. So then by the capabilities, I mean knowing the processes and the democratic process, then you know how to participate in the process. And we ask several questions, but here I show only two of them. Whether the civil society in Switzerland have sufficient capacities for co-creating digitalization policies, and if there are some specifics in this field. We collected data in an online survey, and also we discussed digitalization on a workshop. So first of all, we actually used some kind of web scraping, and we collected information about the missions of foundations and associations in Switzerland. So there is the business register in Switzerland. So, and each organization, when register, must publish the mission. So it's similar to natural language processing, and we collected the data, and then we searched for keywords or words in their missions. That we used several keywords like digit in all languages. There's another specifics in Switzerland that we have 4 official languages, but for example in Geneva you also use English. So then actually we take out the Romansh language and substitute it by English. And then all these languages we searched for information in the missions of the organizations. And then we got hundreds of hits, but then we realized that these missions and organizations, they belong to civil society, but not to digital civil society, because if you publish some paintings on internet, so it doesn't mean that you cope with digitalization. So in that case, we then selected the organizations based on additional criteria, which is digitalization, or being actively involved in digitalization, not as users, but as creators. So, and of these hundreds of organizations, we've got 99 organizations that are really digital. And then we asked them in the survey. We've got 39 responses, and we discussed also with 13 civil society experts from Switzerland. So just to show the geographical situation, the main concentration, a cluster of digital civil society is in Zurich, and followed by Bern and Geneva. Then as the fourth cluster, it appears in Basel, in the northern part of Switzerland. Then what we realized, the organizations are quite small, small budget, but as I mentioned, that they are not dependent on public funding. So they, about 1/3 of their resources came from their own business or endowments. They got about 30% from private foundations and only about 20% from the public sector. The rest, there are small sponsors, individual sponsors, and business. What is typical for this segment of the society is that there are many volunteers, and there is a specific group, hackers. They will never organize themselves officially. So they meet, but they don't create official structures. So then, for example, those 99 organizations, they are not only information from the business register, but also we found some informal groups like hackers clubs and so on. So we added them to this list. And this is typical for digital civil society. So these organizations are mainly based on voluntary basis. So the main resource of their work are volunteers. But it has consequences for their informal structures, as for the public sector, it's sometimes difficult to find the partner to work with. Here you can see simple distribution of the volunteers. So I see I left the German words here. So then Freiwillige, it means volunteers. Mitarbeitende, it means employees. So you can see that the volunteering plays a crucial role in digital civil society. Then what was interesting when evaluating the success of civil society in digitalization is that the networks are quite specific. So people were saying that they are connected to other colleagues, and 90% of them are in regular contact with at least 3 other organizations and platforms or groups. But as they are informal, so it's a very decentralized network structure. It means it doesn't have a pyramid structure. So it means it's not centralized, it's not coordinated. So then the groups behave their own way. So these informal structures makes it difficult for the public sector to participate or invite the partners to the participation process. You can see the distribution of the contacts. So then only about 10% of organizations they have 1 or 2 other contacts, and more than half of them have more than 5 contacts with some other part of the digital civil society. So they are good. They are doing good networking, and in the political process, it's important that they concentrate on national public and political stakeholders. So then you see almost half of all organizations, they take care of national public and political stakeholders. The 12% of international public, so Switzerland, there is this UN organizations, and it concentrates a lot of international organizations, and many large foundations are also situated in Switzerland, because for them it's much easier to coordinate and send the money around the globe to the places they need to help. And when we ask if civil society does play a sufficient role in shaping digital Switzerland, so about 1/5 said yes. But 80% said no. And then you can see a dichotomy that digitalization is business-driven activity with creating framework by the public sector. And even I heard the voices from the business and from the public sector that these clashing interests of the public and business sectors can be mediated by the civil society, but the civil society still doesn't play this role. If you have a look at this cross table, you can see that even if the organizations were invited to take part on working groups and the meetings of the policymakers, so they are not satisfied. So only 3 respondents here said that they were not invited, and one of them was saying that they were just set up so that it makes sense that they still didn't get any invitation. But even if you get more than 5 invitations annually, then you sit there, you see no change in the frame you achieved, or you see the success. So then they were disappointed. And then we studied what they provided as an asset to the public sector, and we can see that they have good knowledge and skills in digitalization. They can provide it to public through some seminars, workshop, or trainings. But what is missing to be effective in this process is the communication skills, as the networks, they are uncoordinated, and you see that how deeply are they based on volunteering. And in comparison to other parts of the civil society in Switzerland, there are some roof organizations that they can then provide some opinions and manage commenting the framework proposals for the parliament. But in the digital sphere, that's not the case. So by this presentation, I wanted to show you that also creating the framework for digitalization is important, because otherwise then we can see the situations when, for example, when we organize a workshop on machine learning in evaluations. So then it was probably organized for advanced people. At the beginning, my colleague was training about 60 people, and the second round, only 6 people came, because people simply didn't know how to work with Python, and they had no experience. So then we should be aware of the knowledge of people in digitalization, evaluators in using digitalization, the skills, and also framework, if we accept and how we use the results from these tools. So I stop now, and I will respond to your questions if you have any.
All right. Thank you, Otto, for this excellent presentation. And indeed, I think you finished on a very important note, right? It's the policy frameworks that are very important, and it's really important to have some civil society engagement in creating those frameworks. So colleagues, floor is open to you. We're a bit behind the time, but still we've got about 5 minutes left for Q&A. So I'm wondering if there's anyone with the question or comment to Otto. Could be on the methods used for this evaluation or the topic as such. Oh, I see. Alex, you wrote something in the chat, but maybe you wanna put up your comment yourself directly. Please.
Right. Thanks, Otto, for this. Thanks, Sven, and thanks, Otto, for this interesting presentation. I was just wondering whether your evaluation also comes up with evidence on the effects of a weak civil society in terms of, I mean, what is the result? Do we have then less democratic, less just representative digital policies? Is there evidence for this? And what should the consequences are? Capacity building for civil society? Maybe you can say something on this. Thanks.
So generally, in the democratic societies, you have rules how to govern, and important is governance, and it concerns stakeholders generally. It doesn't concern only civil society, but also business. And what is specific on civil society? So civil society aims at those target groups that are the most vulnerable, because it's not interesting for business, because you cannot earn money on it. The product is not much standardized. The public sector doesn't care about it sometimes because it's not the average public, or how to say it. So it doesn't go through the political process, and but these groups are here, and the civil society concentrates on it. And it's questioned. So how big is this this group? And you know, Switzerland, I mentioned that at the beginning, the civil society is quite large, and Switzerland is very specific because the policy making, decision making is at a very low level. So the government is quite weak in comparison to other countries. So then the civil society and other stakeholders have quite a good chance to take part on the democratic processes. But the democratic process, it's about, I wouldn't say that if someone is elected in elections without hearing the voices from the civil society, so that's undemocratic. It's democratic. But successful societies need this kind of dialogue and empowerment, and taking into account these various voices. Because if you are really in a democratic society, you never know if the roles will be changed after the next election, and you will be in the position of this marginalized group. So yeah, so that's my answer. And by the way, the study will be published today or next week. I don't know the date exactly, but it will be published soon. So then if you are interested in it, so then please let me know. I will share the link with you.
Okay, excellent. So looking at the time, I propose we go for a coffee break, We have until 4:30 until we reconvene. So that means we have about 20 minutes. At least from my side, this was a really interesting first half of our event today, and some really cool stuff is coming up. So get yourself a coffee, go for a bio break, stretch out a bit, and then come back here. And then the next round will be moderated by my dear colleague Jaroslav, who's already been present here. Well, let's all break for coffee and reconvene in 20 minutes. Thank you, colleagues.
I just one point. So then, when you spoke, I just checked our website, and it has been published about 30 minutes ago. So I will share the link now. So I didn't know that my colleagues do that now.
Well, that's a nice coincidence while you were presenting. So congratulations. It's always great when you see your work coming up then. Okay, good. Colleagues, let's reconvene in 20 minutes, and that will be done by Jaroslav. Thank you.